Welcome to the Brett Davis Podcast.
Hello, everybody. It's been a while. Great to see all of you. And I have a special guest today, Cheri Sotelo, with me, who's the founder of the Operation of Impact Tour and many, many other things. She's like a Filipino Swiss Army knife.
Yes, come ready, prepared for anything.
Yes. They look very, very Asian, very.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not just when I smile.
Oh,
actually.
okay. I didn't say that.
I did.
So you did. So I appreciate you coming here all the way from Las Vegas, which is one of my favorite cities in the country. I love Las Vegas.
How could you not?
Well, Coronado's pretty nice too.
It's beautiful.
Did you like the little area of the waterway
I
and
did.
downtown? And
Yeah, but I hurry up and got here on time.
I'm sorry.
No, please don't be sorry.
So why don't we talk a little bit about what the Operation of Impact Tour is for people who are not aware of that?
So the Operation Impact Tour is a phenomenal speaker circuit that I put together through a nonprofit organization, My Face of Illness Co-op, which I love so much. And it's speakers of high value giving back to the community at large while I collect statistics and data and give that information right back to each city so they can ask for funding to see what kind of impact is made. And then Operation Impact stands for its integrity, management, psychology, action, culture, and thought.
Wow. How did you get into this?
Well, unfortunately and fortunately, someone that I met back in June at one of the Real Success meetings in Scottsdale is a 2-time double lung transplant stonemason. All he's ever wanted to do was become a speaker full time because on the rock pile, it just about killed him almost 12 years ago. He had his first set of lung transplant done. Then he had his second set of lung transplant done. What most people don't know is silicosis fibrosis affects the mining industry and affects all of these individuals that create these beautiful granite countertops, travertine floors, flagstone, and there's nothing medically available to do.
Somebody's waving at you. What is she trying to say? We don't smoke. We're not going to smoke during this. We should have brought stogies.
Oh, man. Here we go.
We'll get a stogie on the way out.
Yes. Okay. So when I met him, I was wondering, what does he have to do to become a speaker? And he was spending thousands upon thousands upon thousands on stages just to get 15 minutes at a time, 30 minutes at a time. Come Thanksgiving Day, he calls me from the hospital. Hey, Cheri, I'm in the hospital again. They just want to double check to make sure something's growing. I aspirated in one lung. He can't go through another lung transplant. I mean, that would be lung number 7 and number 8. That doesn't look good at all. So instead of me serving my homeless veterans for Thanksgiving, I went to my office and I wrote up a whole speakers tour where every speaker that comes in utilizes my nonprofit to pay a speaking fee. All of the fees collected for 9 different segments of everything from business entrepreneurship to transformational to women's empowerment. Each one of these segments helps pay for the facility itself. Vendors are invited. Vendors get a tax write-off for donating to this venue to speak. All I told him was, hey, you want a speaking stage? I'm going to give you a speaking stage. In fact, let's go ahead and make a speaker's tour. And that was enough for him to say, okay, I have to hurry up and get better. No more being on the rock pile. I'm going to get my book finished. I'm going to finish handwriting my manuscript. And then there it was. Operation Impact was born all in a day, in a matter of a day, because I couldn't allow somebody one more day on a rock pile that was going to kill them just so that somebody can hear their story.
So I'm curious, what does he talk about? What is he writing about?
He's actually writing about being a warrior and not giving up and not giving in and never letting somebody else guide what you want to do in life, because you can go and achieve anything you want. Here's the harder part. On Christmas Day, he calls me, tells me, hey, I had this great conversation with my brother, my older brother, who I didn't know at the time also had the same lung condition, but opted to not have the double lung transplant because he was too on that rock pile. He said, hey, bro, guess what? I finally got a speakers tour. January 1st, we're going to start hitting the road hard and we're going to get out there and the press releases are done and the media's involved. And his older brother, his idol. He said, you know what, bro, I'm so proud of you. 3 hours later, he got the call that his brother fell asleep and never woke up.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
And it made that much more of a push to not stop. There's nothing that's going to stop me or get me off this path to make an impact across the country for worker safety, for leadership, for those that want to do something they've never done before. This is about adventuring into something new,
Mhm.
kind of like what you were talking about. You want to adventure into new things. Let's do it. Let's explore. We only
I
have
think,
so much time.
and I think a lot of times all of us get into this situation where we have fear,
Mhm.
fear of failure, fear of success. Am I leaving anything out?
Fear of people.
Fear of people.
There's 3
Yeah,
things that
that's and that's
yeah.
yeah, people too.
Yeah, there's 3 things I don't fear. I don't fear death, I don't fear people, and I don't fear losing. Because what is all of that? It's nothing more than one more challenge in life that we get over. We rise over these humps every single day. We may have speed bumps, we may have roadblocks here and there, but there's no permanent wall in our way. The only time we're in our way is us.
Mhm.
So, what does fear do? Fear is either going to drive you and motivate you or help you build discipline, or it's going to stop you and pivot you into something else. Who knows what that something else is going to be? We can't know for sure.
Mhm. It's true. So you've been an entrepreneur your whole life.
Yes.
How does an entrepreneur become a psychologist? I mean, I feel like I'm a psychologist.
Mhm.
I just don't have the credentials, but how does that all happen for how did that happen for you?
Oh boy, 17 years of college and grad school and 7 degrees and stuff I usually don't talk about. But my very first year, my very first class at San Francisco State University back in the 90s, I was a business major. Got into that Psych 101, that absolutely undergrad requirement. And I sat there and in the back of the classroom and I'm watching all of these different majors trying to understand the psychological principles of decision making. And I said, this is what it is. In San Francisco, born and raised in San Francisco, my father always said, just do everything that you can, learn a whole bunch of stuff. You'll never be without a job. That's great. I don't need a job. I'm going to be the owner. And so it's like, I need to switch to be a psych major. Why? Because no business runs without people.
True.
And what better way to know people and to know businesses than to get into that mind? So I got in that mind space and I stayed in that mind space. But then it went a little bit further as I decided, okay, I'm going to come out of California. Where do I want to go next? Where do I want to attend grad school? It's like, oh, well, Las Vegas, 24 hours mental health.
UNLV?
So I did my master's at UNLV. I went from Cal Poly to UNLV. Cal Poly didn't have a graduate program.
Hmm.
So I did my master's there and master in clinical mental health psychology with a minor in addictions treatment because I only wanted to work 10 years. It's like no better place. 24 hours of this. I have a project management mind. I'm going to set up these clinics, do everything I need to do. But then I needed something a little bit further. It's like, okay, I'm going to go. I want to do slightly different than the regular clinical psychology. I went to Pacifica. It's a depth psychology program for union trained learning.
Hmm.
And look at where we're at today with all the spiritual stuff. We talked about shadow work. We talked about bracelets, the crystals, the everything else. This is the archetypes, the synchronicities, the shadow work. We came out of pandemic just looking at ways of non-conventional thinking.
Mhm.
And here we are. I just happened to do it 20 years in advance.
I think we always have, and I think also the way what you're talking about is very cultural with the Hispanic, Latino, groups, as well as the Filipinos, Native Americans, I think even Chinese,
Mhm.
also very, people I don't know about India. I mean, they have their faith in what they do, but, I know a lot of people from various walks of life, and I don't know if the pandemic, if I'm not understanding what you said, you feel like people got more interested in this?
Absolutely, because
Interesting.
it's the only time we've had a worldwide human experience.
Oh,
We were all locked down
okay.
with nowhere to go. We didn't have a choice in the matter. We weren't given the opportunity to say, "Hey, I don't wanna participate in this activity." It happened to us, and
Yeah.
it happened for us.
It controlled us.
It really did, and so
Do you think it was um, something that happened on purpose, or do you think it's something that happened by accident?
I think it happened evolutionary. There was going to be some way of trying honing in on what's going on from just the medical stance. We're watching people become more and more ill every single
Mhm.
day, becoming more susceptible to different things. Immune systems are changing. And then here we came across this one piece all over again, it's just like the Plague that went through. We have done this more than once in human history. It's just never been this great and in mass because we have the communication where one country can call another country and say, "Hey, by the way, we're just gonna go ahead and stop everything." And they're high-fiving saying, "Yeah, let's just shut it all down and see what we can do and control."
Did it come out of a lab?
That I don't know. It's hard to say. There was that old 2006, I believe, statement at World Health Organization requesting that the coronavirus vaccination be made, and it was rejected back then.
Mhm. I
But
understood they had it though. I understood they
oh,
still
it's
had it.
been around.
Right.
It's absolutely been around. We can look at old Lysol bottles and see, hey, it's here for human coronavirus. We've had the 5 different ones. Pick up a bottle that was from before 2019, November 2019, and it was still there. This isn't something new to us.
Is it still on there?
Yeah, it is,
So
absolutely.
it's still on there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mhm.
I didn't know that.
It's part of the ingredients or the, little
Did
message.
not know that.
I love to read labels.
I do too, but I can't believe I missed that one. So, where are you gonna go and what's next? Because it sounds to me like every day you get up and it's an adventure.
It is. And, you called and said, "Hey, can you come on down?" "Absolutely. What are we gonna do?" "Don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there."
Right.
But that's how Operation Impact works. What impact needs to be made today? I'm
Mhm.
gonna pick up, I'm gonna go. That's the beauty of being that unattached. I would say unattached and unavailable, but my focus is the community. My focus are the people. My focus is the message that needs to be sent, no matter what the message is, which is why I spent so much time in school. To go back to that, every time I had to hire somebody for my business, I went back to school and did a degree, or I did a certification, or I did something
How
else.
are you able to do that? Because I would think that you'd be worried about the person, how they ran your business,
I ran all my business.
but you were going to school.
Yeah. I did roughly 100 hours a week every week for more than 25
Amazing.
years. So, ADHD, the beautiful part of it, again, one of those things they don't realize is that we are those project managers. We can go, go, go in 15 different directions because that's exactly what our brains need.
Well, I think I'm like that, but I think you're more of that. I'm like that. I have that
Mhm.
the same thing, but you're
Most entrepreneurs do. And it's only within the last 10 years that it's really gotten a negative.
so why is it
These
when people that think outside the box that like we do, that are entrepreneurs and that we have all these different plates spinning,
Mhm.
why is it we get categorized as not being focused?
Because for someone that can't do what we do, it's too hard for them to keep up.
Okay.
Essentially, that's the bottom line. Much like with ASD, autism spectrum disorder, which kind of a downfall to put them all together. But these individuals, why they tend to be the geniuses of the world, their mind focuses on what they're great at with zero acknowledgement or very little acknowledgement of social pressure, emotional response. They bypass all of the stuff that we would ordinarily be distracted by,
Hmm.
right down to relationships. Since when was that a bad thing? Look at our inventors. Look at all of the main people in different type of entrepreneurship that focus, focus, focus. They hyper focused. Just now we're calling it, oh, it's you got to learn these social skills. Why? They're brilliant in all these other ways. So ADHD is right up there with it. We can do 15 things at one time. It's okay. We've got it. It's fine. No problem. In fact, we're really good at it.
It's we're built that way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting because I've heard that from various people. Everything you said I've heard before, but the way you put it, just it fits perfect. So you've written some books.
Yes.
How many books?
6.
6 books.
Yeah, just a few.
Just a few. And they're all on Amazon.
Mhm.
What's your favorite one?
It has to be The Face of Illness, Volume 1, Badass Beauties.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the book.
So it's actually this one is a coffee table art book, and
Oh,
I took executives and entrepreneurs that had chronic medical conditions that came to me from some way in therapy. Oh, I have depression, or oh, I have anxiety, and I'm swinging through moods. And I'm one of the very first person that said, "Hey, what do we have on medical conditions?" Because our bodies are systems. We're just like a car. If one part is off, one spark plug's bad. Guess what? The car shakes. We may not sometimes be able to change that spark plug, but let's make it run a little bit smoother.
mhm.
And all in all, the people that are featured in that first volume, yes, they have mental health concerns as a byproduct of their medical condition. And so what I've done is I've outlined this is the beautiful piece of who you are and what you have going on all of these conditions, and we just connected the dots, and so you're not this walking diagnosis under a mental health piece.
Mhm.
And that actually a lot of that came out of pandemic because people weren't seeing their regular doctors.
Right.
It was so easy to say, "Hey, you just have anxiety. Hey, you just have depression," because they couldn't see you anyways to test for any of the other things. So I did a lot of reductions. And the 7 people that are in there, they are medical patients that were largely ignored and ended up in my clinical field. So what I did with that was took 3 categories, which was hope, sass, and badass. So, yes, I did. Hope was really about, "Hey, we're looking at our future." We sat down in this chair one way, and my stylist, Christopher Montoya's chair, sat down raw, scared, vulnerable. They just finished their interviews talking about all of their medical conditions. When they stood up, it was different. Their shoulders were pulled back, their chins were up high, and they're walking around like, "Yeah, what is this? I love this." And everything changed from that point forward. They never looked back. And so that was one of my biggest dedications once I got back all of the images
Mhm.
from the individuals. And I said, they this is something that has to be bigger than just a coffee art table, just a personal experience of professional photography and modeling and so on and so forth. It was asked to be a documentary at some point. Unfortunately, one of the key members is now dealing with cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's hard, but we continue on. And so that Face of Illness project is something that, gosh, is so near and dear to me, which is why my nonprofit is Face of Illness Co-op. So all my projects operate, same like Operation Impact, off of our medical conditions that made us believe once that something's going to stop us because we don't stop unless we have to.
What keeps you from becoming down working with so many people that are, challenged mentally with mental
Mm.
health? How
And
do
even
you
physically,
keep yourself up?
I put myself in that position by choice,
Okay.
knowing that I had a choice. Every day I make a choice to do what I do. So one, that's the empowerment piece. If I'm not in control of being present in that day, then I would become down. I would succumb to everyone's conditions.
Mhm.
And that's a feel good and an empathic place that I work in. So at the end of the day, I tell myself, I did the best I could. I'm just human like anybody else. I still have my great days. I have my bad days. But if I can't be present, then I can't help that other person also help themselves.
Mhm.
And so as long as I operate with good integrity, which I always do, and I'm very honest, and a lot of my clients, they just love the fact that any one liner can come out of my mouth at any given moment. You never know what you're going to get. It helps keep them up. So I know that I create smiles, but I leave truth as the forefront. So how do you not feel good about that? That should never bring you down. Our truth should never bring us down, no matter what it is.
I understand, and we have such a young generation of kids that are depressed,
Mhm.
and I'm wondering how much of that happened during the pandemic, or it was already happening before the pandemic.
This is a very big, loaded question that I've been working on and working against and working for decades. Because the depression that we see today is more caused by our nutrition, our electronic babysitting, if you will.
The
Lack
iPhones?
Yeah, well, just in general, the stimulus that has very short stops, YouTube short videos, commercials, video games, that lack of attention, but it's that disconnect also from the family unit. And so what we're seeing is what clinically looks like depression could be lack of self-esteem, chemical imbalances in their system from eating fast food, eating these high inflammation foods. 90 to 95% of the serotonin, which most of us can attribute depression to, is in our gut. What are we eating? What are we putting in these children? My clinics were all holistic clinics, non-medication, mostly non-medication guided clinics for ADHD and autism. First thing I did is take all the nasty food out of their way, fed them organically, understood what each of the chemicals did for them and for their bodies, and I'd see behavior reductions and mood changes in 2 weeks or less
Without medication?
without medication. Yes, and I was one of the biggest people in the Clark County School District. When there's behavioral children, when there's violent children, I said, give them over to me. I was the version of Scared Straight after Scared Straight was removed because they don't bother me. I have all the patience in the world. But if the adults that are shopping are contributing to all of these conditions, then it also takes training of the adults and helping them see just by doing small little movements, maybe that isn't depression. Maybe that is other things. Maybe it's about where can we meet kid and child and siblings on a bigger scale.
Mhm.
So now with the pandemic locking children up and saying, hey, you have to homeschool, you have to be here,
To wear a
you
mask
can't,
everywhere you
you
go.
have to, yeah, you lose all of that autonomy piece. Your creative ability is taken away, your socialization is taken away. Yes, it created a lot of depressing type features, but like a car, if we're driving a Mercedes and you need 92 gas and you're putting in 87, the car's going to run horribly.
Mhm.
That's what we did to our children.
It's very interesting. There's so many topics of things
I
that
know.
we're covering, a wide range of things. From anybody out there, now we're going to go into business.
Okay.
Like I said, you are a Filipino Swiss knife.
Yes.
I have a different type of Swiss knife, who's also Filipino, who is running the show. Thank you for doing the show, of course, Sarah. So in business, for people that want to go into business,
Mhm.
what's the first thing you would tell them if they want to go into a business for themselves? What should they do? If they want to stop working for an individual and they want to take that leap of faith, want to be an entrepreneur, maybe always wanted to be, and there's a lot of opportunities of things that are available now that there weren't ever before.
Right.
So what would you tell them?
It actually starts with a question, not a statement. And it's why?
That's
Why do you want to do that? And if I get back that answer of, well, because I don't want to work all the time, I said, well, there you go. We're going to have wrong answer number one. Entrepreneurs work more than anybody else. We never, ever, ever stop.
Yeah.
Because business comes home with you, business is in your dreams, business is in the morning, business interferes with your parenting social schedule.
Is everybody hearing what she's saying? You're not giving up a easy. I heard somebody one time say, well, you're an entrepreneur because you don't have to work as many hours. And that's why she's my ex-wife now. Oh. Sorry.
No, you're not. No, it's really about, do you have what it takes? Do you have the grit? Are you able to commit to the grind?
Yeah, because I don't think most entrepreneurs realize that they're going to have to sleep what they do, eat what they do. When their friends are out going out, they may not be able to go out because they have deadlines and things they have to work on.
And it's understanding that there's the job, which that's the time that you're earning the money, and then there's the work because you're following a passion. We're told to work on ourselves all the time.
Sure.
Work on your self-care, work on self-love. But then we also use that same term work in entrepreneurship as, oh my gosh, I always have to work. Well, you should be. But what time is your job? Because in your job hours, your money-making hours, that's a different story than just the work that you're putting in. That's what entrepreneurship is about. It's putting in the constant chronic work because you're passionate about it. Motivation is about passion. Discipline is about doing the job. Just do the job. And so understanding that you have to go from idea to fruition to realization, evolution, revolution, and revolution to solution. It doesn't just stop with, I have this brilliant idea. It's going to make millions. It's going to be so great. And then you sit back and you're like, okay, so how's this going to happen for us? It doesn't. Now you have to evolve. Your business is going to evolve. Your ideas are going to evolve. Anybody that's gone to grad school understands the whole process of writing these papers. They're like, the idea is just too broad, narrow it down. And you're like, I can't just narrow it down. Yeah, you have to. This is about meeting the marketplace, whatever your marketplace is, whether it's in a brick and mortar building, whether it's in human services, whether it's in creative or art, you have to continue. You're going to evolve to always fit. We change all the time. That's just what happens. Maturation is something else too.
Things are changing faster.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if that's good.
It is what it is. Can we stop it?
Can you slow down things?
No,
Do you go with it?
the time is always ticking. Trust me, we'd all love to stop the clock at some point. Wouldn't have half these grays or half these wrinkles. Thank goodness for the Asian side where it's still kind of holding up. I mean, I'm sure Sarah can agree with me on this one. It's like Asian aging, it's a thing.
Well, I have a mother-in-law who just turned 82, right? And she looks amazing. She was
Mhm.
always looked great, and she's not aging. And I'm like, like the last week, God forbid, that period of time when it's your last week, when it's time for you to leave or die, you're going to get an invoice by the Grim Reaper, and then all of a sudden, all these wrinkles and everything are going to come to you like that last week. You've been getting away with this for like ever.
Mhm.
So how we got on that subject, I don't know. But
Who knows?
so anybody out there, what do you call yourself? What you do? I mean, because there's a variety of things that you do other than, I guess, your doctor.
I'm a global impact strategist. They're like, what in the world is that? Well, let's go ahead and just bring it real simple. Global. I work around the world. Oops. And I hit things apparently too. So I work around the world. Impact, it means I'm going to work where change is needed. Strategist, I work just like project manager in most cases. A lot of people call themselves strategists, so it's not always a very understood term. Some people strategize in their fields, in their lanes. Well, it comes back to that global. I'll look at entire operational analysis of a project and strategize that way. So,
Is this something that you're able to? I mean, this isn't something you can just learn. You probably could. It seems like, from what I'm feeling, you digest this, you feel what's going on.
mhm.
You're able to chew, figure it out, and then you digest it, and then you're able to give conclusions and answers to something like, you know, not everybody can do that.
No.
Would you agree that's kind of
Yes.
is it a gift?
I think so, and it very much comes with part of that ADHD or higher level
Okay.
operating brain.
Okay.
I love giving people the visual if they've ever seen Oppenheimer and he sees all of these things. That's actually how I see projects. And it's just pulling and pulling until things come out on a big whiteboard. Always have a huge whiteboard with me.
You always have a
And
whiteboard? How
and
big's a whiteboard?
I've had full wall ones. Right now, I use a smaller one, so it's within our virtual camera field. Because then, otherwise, I would write all over the wall. And
See, I've always wanted a whiteboard.
then why didn't you get one?
I don't know. And I've always we've talked about it where I could just get one and just, 'cause I have these visions of things I've always wanted to write on and do.
So then you just do it.
Yeah. we have to figure out how to do that. But
Put
I've
it on a
always,
wall.
yeah, I've always wanted to do this. I think we thought about doing this in one of our offices, Sarah, didn't
Mhm.
we? So, so this is a gift and you're using it to help other people with. And you have a variety of things. You can't define what you do.
No.
It almost sounds like you're not organized. It sounds like you can't focus.
Right, and I'm terribly organized, and people that aren't organized actually dislike how organized, protocoled, strategic, and on time I am, because I know exactly how long it takes to get everywhere and do everything while this is running here and that's running there. Not being understood doesn't mean I'm unorganized, and that goes for any of us that think like this.
Interesting. Okay, we have all of her information there. This has been a great podcast. I've enjoyed it,
Me too.
and I think we could go on forever.
We probably could.
I think we want to use this podcast as a way to, first of all, it's not anything like we've ever done. It's unique because I've never interviewed anybody like you.
Oh.
You're very gifted in a lot of ways, and you're nice, which is nice too.
Bonus.
Yeah, it's a bonus. All the information for Cheri is there. And is there any one last note of something you would want to say to everybody in the audience out there, like something that comes to mind or your heart or your soul?
Make every minute count. We never get that 1 minute back.
There you go.
Mhm.
Okay, everybody, take care. And to my sponsors, everybody out there, take care. Thank you for Indian Motorcycle. Thank you for, and they are a sponsor.
I
And thank
love
you
it.
also.
It's like,
I thought you were Harley as I
I
knock everything over.
Shh,
Stop
don't say-
moving. Oh. And then, of course, Indian Motorcycle. Then I said, oh, there they are right there. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. They're all there. Do we have Bonafide to the garage? Okay, everybody, take care, and we will see you next week. Thank you.